26th of January 1988. I'd just like to wish this great nation of ours a happy 200th birthday.
(1988), Australia's bicentennial year, and the whole country is celebrating. Among them, adventurer Ashley Mervyn Coulston. He's marking this momentous occasion by sailing the smallest boat ever to cross the Tasman to New Zealand. What did that mean to him?
Fame, I think. Real fame. That's what he was hoping for. He was going to build this boat, sail away, because he wanted to be famous.
Did he say it as simply as that to you, that he wanted to be famous?
Yeah, I want to be famous.
And Ashley Coulston did become famous. In fact, he became infamous.
Coulston is in the upper tier of Australia's worst and most violent criminal offenders.
Tonight, the story of how a shy kid from the bush became the silent killer.
He's the cold-blooded butcher, he just doesn't care.
The prime suspect in a string of unsolved rapes and murders up and down Australia's east coast.
He executes them purely because it gives him a thrill.
He sort of was a loner sort of thing.
And the homicide detective who's relentlessly pursued him for decades in the hope of bringing him to justice.
Coulston said to me, "You've never met a person like me before." And he's right. I don't think I ever have.
And how did you take that at the time, though, when he says to you, "You've never met a person like me before"?
I felt that he was throwing it out as a challenge.
It's 1992, a cold winter's evening in Melbourne at the height of the Barcelona Olympics. And Ashley Coulston is about to strike. He's arranged to meet Karen Henstridge and Anne Smurden at their Burwood house after answering an ad for a flatmate. Anne's brother-in-law, Peter Dempsey, is also spending the night.
They were expecting someone around 40 years of age, a male, to visit the premises.
The next morning, when there's no answer at the door, Karen's mother is forced to break into the house. She finds the TV and iron are still on, and last night's dishes waiting to be washed. But inside a bedroom, she also finds the body of her daughter, Karen. Anne Smurden is dead in the hallway, naked from the waist down. And Peter Dempsey is in the lounge room, also dead. All three have been bound with cable ties and killed by a single bullet to the crown of the head.
Those murders were one of the worst criminal offences in the Victorian history.
So what did you think you were dealing with?
We thought we were dealing with someone who enjoyed it and had taken pleasure in their execution.
The families of Karen Henstridge, Anne Smurden and Peter Dempsey pleaded with the public to help catch the gunman.
He's worse than any type of an animal. Animals wouldn't do this to their fellows.
Unbelievable.
I think people were scared that three ordinary people from impeccable family backgrounds were executed in cold blood in an average house in an average suburb when they had done nothing to expose themselves to any significant risk.
These are the original police notes and sketches of the murder scene.
Blood on top of head, 3 plastic ties around wrists, sock in mouth. Arms bent at elbow, 3 plastic ties, another plastic tie observed around blood on top of head, and on carpet, blue robe draped across top of head.
It was a shocking scene to attend. To manage to control 3 people like that, either you've been trained to do something like that, or you've developed it through experience.
Unknown to the police, 35-year-old Ashley Coulston, a sailor who earned money by delivering yachts for wealthy clients, was hiding in plain sight at Western Port Marina, less than an hour's drive from Melbourne. Coulston lived here with his girlfriend, Jan McLeod, a former airline hostess. Their home was Gulliver, the yacht Jan owned.
Was a good friend to him. He's a good friend.
A good friend who hid a secret life from Jan. And, as it will turn out, kept hidden in his car a bag of very evil tools, what police would call his kill kit. How do you accept or explain that Ashley was carrying a bag that contained handcuffs, thumb cuffs, a balaclava, a pack of 10 condoms and cable ties?
No idea. Well, he would have kept those sort of things in the car because I wouldn't have had them on the boat.
So he's kept them in the car so you can't see them?
Yeah, they were in the car.
Okay. That's not normal.
Depends what you're doing.
Well, what would you do with handcuffs, thumb cuffs, a balaclava, a gun, 10 condoms and cable ties in a bag that he keeps secret hidden in the car away from you?
No, I don't know. Wouldn't have a clue. It wouldn't worry me.
You don't have those things for any other reason other than... No, you don't.
Okay.
You don't. There's no other hobby that exists that involves that kit of equipment other than fairly sinister reasons.
I don't know. I can't explain it.
After the Burwood triple murder, the silent killer has slipped away without a whisper. Melbourne is on edge. Will the killer strike again? And for Mick Stevanovic, this was the beginning of his decades-long pursuit of Ashley Coulston. What was the prospect in those early days or few weeks of it being solved?
It was clear that it was going to be a very difficult case. There was a level of professionalism that was shown in controlling multiple victims. There was no way that that was a first. Whoever had done that has definitely handled multiple victims before, and comfortably so.
Just 5 weeks after the Burwood murders, fears the killer would strike again are realised when young Melbourne couple Richard and Anne Shalagan are attacked in the Botanical Gardens.
My wife and I had been invited to a function at the Arts Centre. We just had a few drinks and a few canapes and decided it was time to go home. And it was 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we walked back across St Kilda Road, and we got into the car. I was driving.
It's September 2nd, 1992. And Ashley Coulston steps silently out of the shadows. Coulston is carrying his kill kit, a sawn-off gun, silencer, and a bag full of cable ties.
He's come up and sort of knelt down next to the passenger side door. And without a word, next minute there's a sawn-off 22. It's that far from my wife.
Ashley Coulston forces Anne and Richard out of their car and makes them walk to a darker part of the Botanical Gardens, under trees and away from streetlights.
During the whole time, I was saying, what are you doing? You've got the money, you've got the car, why don't you leave? No, I have to tie you up. He was quite intent on that.
He's taken a gun from pointing to me. He's pointed at my wife and said, get on the ground. So I've reluctantly, my wife's lying down on her stomach there. And I knew that, as I said, we're in trouble.
You would only learn later that, in fact, just weeks prior to this, he had cable-tied 3 people in Burwood and shot them.
Shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be here. So he's got the bag, and I noticed he put the gun down. I knew if I didn't do something then, we were dead. Absolutely. And I could see him go into the bag and pull out the tyres. And I have launched somebody. I've actually grabbed him from behind and grabbed him around the neck. And I'm yelling at my wife to run. Okay, just run. So she's run towards St Kilda Road. I grabbed the gun and I threw the gun probably a metre or two that way and thought of creating the situation where I could get away. So I've got him and I'm just throwing him like that and ran with my wife towards St Kilda Road. And that's where we saw the security guys there.
And we come out and we meet Anne Shalagan first, right out in the centre of St Kilda Road. And she's got our attention because at that point she's still screaming hysterically.
These are in the seconds straight after they'd got away from Ashley Coulston.
Yeah, literally. And they were terrified, those two people. They're absolutely terrified. They come that close. They pointed out there was a silhouette up in the Domain Gardens there. They pointed directly at him, and in that vicinity there was no one else in the park. It was just him.
You see a look in Coulston's eye.
It was the most evil and sinister look I've ever seen. He was there to kill people, and that's what he was going to do. He went back, he's picked up the sawn-off, he's come back up, and he just started firing.
Straight at you?
Yeah, because the gun was cut down, the bullets were spiralling off, and they were going past the right side of my head.
And then he hit you.
Got me in the hip. I brought this. My mother brought me that when I got the job in the early days, and all it is just a simple little key clip. But the keys were hanging down here, and it went through, it shredded the keys and hit the side of the hip there.
Coulston fired 7 times at the security guards, and then he fled. Paul Sycombe gave chase.
He was looking for any way out. He tried to carjack a car. And then he tried to shoot the policewoman. He had the gun pointing directly at the policewoman. He'd already demonstrated by firing that he was willing to kill. And I knew it's now or never. I closed the gap, bang, side kicked him in the head. He didn't see it coming.
How do you describe Coulston there at that moment?
Subdued. It was over.
Coulston was in custody. Very quickly, he claimed he was just trying to rob the Shalagans.
Coulston told police he attacked the couple because he was depressed about being on the dole and needed more money. He said it was a spur-of-the-moment thing.
But there was nothing spur of the moment about this attack. It was no attempted robbery, and very quickly, it became clear that the case against Ashley Coulston is much, much worse than anyone feared.
When police were questioning Coulston about the shooting in the gardens, they became aware of 2 similarities to the Burwood murders. Plastic ties were used to bind the victims, and all were shot with a .22 rifle.
Everything Coulston is caught with, especially the gun, is a direct match for the horrific Burwood murders 5 weeks earlier.
Had the Shalagan couple been killed so soon after the Burwood triple murder, it would have been panic in Melbourne.
So he enjoyed terrorising, he enjoyed the fear that he was creating.
And the fear not just to the individuals, but to the population.
Detectives are baffled. Who is this cold-blooded killer, and what's he been doing in the years prior?
He's 36 and he's killed 3 innocent, wonderful people at Burwood and attempted to kill 2 more a month later in St Kilda Road. It's like, what's he been doing in the intervening 20-odd years?
Ashley Coulston is in custody, charged with the Burwood murders and the St Kilda Road attacks. But while detectives should have been celebrating, Mick Stevanovic had more questions than answers.
Well, he was 36 years old at the time of the Burwood triple murder. Now, he had no prior official contact or recorded contact with the police except when he was 14 in 1971.
It was while interviewing Coulston that Stevanovic first got an insight into his character.
You never know what you're looking for, but he was just a bland, nothing of an individual. He was someone who hasn't achieved much in his life, generally speaking, in terms of a profession. His relationships with other people had all seemed to have failed.
As he dug deeper, Stevanovic uncovered Coulston's disturbing juvenile record. At only 14 years old, his first victims are two primary school teachers in the small town of Tangambalanga in northeast Victoria.
We heard this sort of creaking at the front door of what sounded like the main door being opened.
This audio is from a police interview with the teachers, 20-year-old Halinka Wilson and 21-year-old Carol Scott.
And then we just heard footsteps up the hallway, it's just a short hallway, and just the barrel, a rifle barrel, coming around the edge of the door.
Halinka and Carol were taken hostage from their home by 14-year-old Coulston, who was armed with a .22 rifle.
And we both just screamed. This guy just sort of steps around the door and just brings the rifle up towards us and yells out to us to shut up.
The immature Coulston at first demanded the young teachers watch TV and play cards with him, before forcing them at gunpoint to drive to Sydney.
I vividly recall him saying, "Don't try anything," or words to that effect, because I've got the gun here at her head.
But after crossing the border into New South Wales, Halinka and Carol seize a chance at freedom when they pulled into a service station at Gundagai. They alert the attendants, just as the teenage Coulston seems to lose his bravado.
Even when he put the gun to the back of my head, it was never as frightening as when he first turned up. He just seemed so ordinary after that first horror.
From that recording, what do we learn about Coulston?
We learned that as a 14-year-old, he did a fairly serious and sensational crime.
For his abduction of the two teachers, he's given a 3-month sentence in Melbourne's Turana Boys' Home. There, he made friends with another teenager serving a sentence, who we'll call Phil. Why were you there?
I'd stole a couple of cars. Silly boy. Certainly changed from then now.
Phil recalls Coulston being a loner and quiet, but he remembers him clearly for talking very coldly about his perverse plans when he got out of Turana.
Kidnap women, keep them for his own, well, use your imagination, I guess.
But he did say that once kidnapped, he would want to rape them and keep them.
Yep. In a big hole, be very hard to find. He was quite confident.
He'd planned it.
He certainly appeared to have some plans about it, yes. That's what makes me think often now, did it ever happen?
He repeated that ambition to have a hole in the ground or a cave or somewhere to take abducted women.
What does that say about him?
Given what he's done 20-odd years later, did he ever realise his ambition?
After Ashley was released, the Coulston family packed up and left country Victoria and settled in Kyogle in northern New South Wales. 6 years later, a series of brutal rapes and armed robberies began on the Gold Coast and Tweed Heads in northern New South Wales.
It became known as the Balaclava Rapist.
Brian Knight was one of the lead detectives.
It was attracting a large media interest and from the people of the Tweed and Gold Coast is because they're exceptionally serious offences.
A lone offender, typically on a motorcycle, would approach couples in lovers lane type scenarios. He would then bind the male and then rape the female.
In just a short time, between December 1979 to February 1980, a young masked intruder raped 3 women and committed 2 armed robberies.
He wasn't worried about going into a house and if there was a male person present in the house. He was very brazen. He would tie them up and commit the acts.
The style, almost identical to the method used by Coulston some years later in his triple murder in Melbourne. Catching the Balaclava rapist became one of the biggest police operations in New South Wales and Queensland history.
Large team of Sydney detectives here in the area.
But geography and good old-fashioned interstate police politics had the investigators hamstrung from the beginning.
It's breathtakingly frustrating. As a detective, you just can't work out why these guys weren't motivated to get on top of this case.
Former New South Wales detective Duncan McNabb was assigned to the case from Sydney.
The border is only a very narrow strip, and they had a series of sexual offences on the Gold Coast, probably by the same bloke. All the evidence was pointing to one single offender.
If those detectives had dug a little deeper sooner, Coulston would have been on their radar. He had a juvenile criminal record, a love of motorbikes and disappearing for hours on end. He owned a .22 rifle, which he'd bought under a false name.
The person who bought the firearm gave the name of Mark Chapman, used the address of 14 Brunswick Street in Park Ridge, which is a southern suburb of Brisbane. It was all a fictitious address and, I believe, a fictitious name.
The Balaclava rapist's audacious crimes culminated in the murder on February 2nd, 1980, of Jeff Parkinson. His daughter Sarah was just 8 at the time. What do you remember of that day?
I just remember still thinking, what does that mean? You know, murder.
33-year-old Jeff Parkinson had 2 children, Sarah and then 10-year-old Gary. His marriage had ended a year earlier, and on that night in February 1980, he goes on a date with Lorraine Harrison. They go to the Twin Town Services Club on the Gold Coast.
It's summer, the Gold Coast is vibrating with people. The Twin Towns Club is very, very busy. This is across the road from the biggest police station in the district. It's full of coppers. It works 24 hours.
Left the club after dinner and dancing about 1:15 a.m. and they walked out through the back door of the Twin Town Services Club and across a small park where Jeffrey Parkinson had parked his vehicle. He then opened the door for Lorraine and he walked round and hopped in the driver's side. It was that time that he was confronted by a male person brandishing a gun, and he then hopped into the back of the vehicle.
So they drive past the police station at gunpoint, but he's loving the thrill of it. And that's the disturbing thing about this fellow. They got to his normal secluded place, no witnesses around, quite dark. He could pretty much do what he wanted. And then Parkinson did something he didn't expect. Parkinson attacked.
He grabbed the gun and he shouts to Lorraine, "Get out, run." And she counted the shots.
5 shots?
5 shots that she heard, yeah.
Jeff Morrissey was best mates with Jeff Parkinson. They shared a house, and he knew Lorraine well.
I think this bloke's full intention was to tie Jeff up and rape Lorraine.
She was absolutely hysterical. And it took the police a little while just to calm her down. A couple of other policemen went out to the Cobblecry Reserve, and that's where they found Jeffrey Parkinson had been shot.
Jeff saved Lorraine's life that night.
Definitely. Definitely. There's absolutely no doubt. He saved her life, you know. Yes. That's just the bloke he was.
At the time, there is no reason to believe Coulston is behind the murder of Jeff Parkinson, but he is close by, living on the family farm near the country town of Kyogle. Years later, as Mick Stevanovic is investigating the Burwood triple murder, he visits the property himself. What he finds leaves him disturbed.
We found real-life detective story magazines, American ones, that contained stories of serial killers and rapists, boxes of keys from motel rooms across New South Wales. We found a trinket box which contained 2 fired .22 calibre projectiles. To find a bullet is unusual. To find 2 of them, more so. We also found several weapons. We found a shotgun and another .22 calibre rifle. Also found an oil filter, similar to the one that was used as the silencer at Burwood. That was found in another room in the house, in an underwear drawer.
It confirms what Detective Stevanovic feared, that Ashley Coulston was hiding a dark past and the bullets could lead to other murders.
It wasn't long before we found somewhere where they may be relevant, and that's in connection with a murder in the north coast of New South Wales. And that was the murder of Jeffrey Parkinson.
Did you ever see him with a gun?
He went up to Queensland and came back with a rifle.
Kathy Walker knew a reserved, shy Ashley Coulston in the mid-1980s in the southern suburbs of Sydney. For a time, he lived with Kathy and her then husband. But Coulston's love of guns was a major problem for them. One day, they found a sawn-off gun and a rubber truncheon in a car they'd lent him.
And I said, you know, we asked you to get rid of it and to not have it here. And he just did his normal, okay, yeah, you know.
Coulston had surfaced in Sydney in 1980, shortly after Jeff Parkinson's murder in Tweed Heads, and the sudden end to the series of Balaclava rapes. He turns up working for Hertz Rental Car at Sydney Airport.
He came to work always on time, he was never late, he did his job.
Megan Plater was Coulston's boss. He was employed as a car detailer. How would you describe his personality?
I just remember that Ashley is always just smiling and nodding his head and not saying a word.
And a genuine smile as such?
No, a smirk. It was always like a smirk,
But the smirk and the strange silence hid a sinister intent.
I had one set of girls who all had long blonde hair and tans and all, you know, good-looking females, and he began to stalk them.
And how would he stalk them?
Followed them home. He used to follow them home after work every night and just sit outside their homes and just stay there and just sit out the front.
Away from work, Coulston, the would-be adventurer, would lose hours building his hero project, his ill-fated, ill-shaped boat, G'day 88. He built this in your backyard?
He built this in our backyard, yeah. Oh, it was months. Months of building this thing.
It looks like a bathtub.
It does, and that's what they called it. Captain Bathtub, yeah.
What did that mean to him?
Fame, I think. Real fame. That's what he was hoping for. He was going to build this boat, sail away, because he wanted to be famous.
Did he say it as simply as that to you, that he wanted to be famous?
Yeah, I want to be famous.
Coulston would become famous, but not for his sailing or trying to be a great Australian adventurer. He wanted to be known, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
In some way.
Because he wasn't known. Nobody took him seriously.
A huge dent to his ego because Coulston knew what he was up to after hours was deadly serious.
These are the Sutherland series, of course. Started August 85, 85, 86, 86, slap bang in the middle of that geographic location where Coulston was living.
Retired detectives Robin Napper and Duncan McNabb are looking at a map of the unsolved Sutherland rapes.
This is where he works, this is where he lives, and that's the transit point.
And that's where he plays.
Yeah. It just makes it so simple.
Yeah.
The Sutherland rapes were at least 5 serious attacks. In every case, a man in a balaclava abducts women and couples with a sawn-off gun between 1985 and 1987. An exact match for Coulston at the exact time he lived in the area.
The methodology is by the book, by the script.
The Sutherland rapes bore striking similarities to the attacks by the Balaclava Rapist in 1979 and 1980 in Queensland and northern New South Wales.
Balaclava, firearm, restraint, that's all there. But the other intriguing point is that for any crime like these, you need transportation. Coulston is fascinating because Coulston was working at the airport, detailing hire cars. He's got a selection of different vehicles to use for each different crime. It makes it really, really hard to ping him in a specific vehicle.
It turns out Coulston was taking and tampering with hire cars from his employer, Hertz.
I had a missing car on the Hertz fleet. A few days later, I went looking and I saw Ashley between a Hertz Laser and there was a blue Corolla that he was siphoning petrol out of.
He's siphoning petrol out of a Hertz vehicle into this other missing
Correct.
rental vehicle.
Correct.
He was up to something.
He was up to something, yes.
Confronted with that situation, what did you do?
I terminated his employment and...
Sacked him then and there.
Mm.
His reaction?
That day, I thought, you know what, I think this guy's going to go and burn my house down today because I had this sense coming across from him that he was really going to do something sinister.
Do you think that Ashley Coulston is a possible and reasonable suspect in those unsolved rapes in the Sutherland Shire?
I absolutely do, without a doubt.
If there's one person who could answer for Coulston's actions, or give insight at least, it's his long-term partner, Jan McLeod. They met in November 1987, shortly after he was sacked. And as he was about to set off on that trip he hoped would make him famous. What did you have in common?
Water, boats, whatever. I don't know. We just used to talk for hours.
On Australia Day 1988, he set off on G'day 88 to break the record for the smallest boat to sail from Australia to New Zealand. It was for the bicentenary. Coulston became known as Captain Bathtub.
Hey, how you feeling? Okay? What time do you reckon we'll get in? Lunchtime, I think, something about that.
Coulston, a psychopath masquerading as an adventurer, had everyone fooled.
An Australian solo yachtsman has been rescued after a voyage across the Tasman. Just as he had New Zealand in sight, Coulston was caught amid cyclone Bowler. G'day 88 was ravaged and dismasted. Coulston jumped ship and was rescued by a passing tanker.
One of New Zealand's largest ships rescued Ashley Coulston from Australia's smallest registered yacht. Hey, Mr. Coulston, all right?
I'm fine.
Do you consider your voyage has been a success despite not making landfall under your own steam?
Isn't it success as in I've crossed the Tasman, yes. Smallest boat to have crossed the Tasman.
How proud was he of that?
Oh, exploding. Absolutely exploding. He was proud of it. Designed it, planned it, built it, sailed it.
Oh, just a challenge, I suppose. Everybody's got a bit of challenges in their life. It's just something I want to do.
4 years into their relationship, the devoted Jan is confronted with her partner's true character when he's dramatically arrested for the St Kilda Road ambush of Richard and Anne Schlagen. Why then on St Kilda Road in 1992 did he take the Schlagens out of their car and start to attempt tying them up with a cable tie?
One cable tie, yeah, for 2 people.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
Because he was stupid.
Coulston wasn't revealing anything to Jan, nor was he revealing anything to police.
By the time I got to speak to him with 2 colleagues from Homicide, he had reverted to a no-comment interview.
Just hours before Mick Stevanovic began interviewing Coulston, a clever forensic expert in Victoria Police had made a startling discovery.
I have here the exhibit weapon being a .22 long rifle calibre Sterling Model 20P self-loading rifle, which has been shortened at the butt and it's been shortened at the muzzle. I'll now fire without the silencer fitted.
The gun used to terrorise the Shalagans on St Kilda Road matched the bullets found in the heads of the Burwood victims 5 weeks earlier.
I'll now attach the oil filter, cum silencer, to the muzzle of the weapon.
Why kill them in that way? Or why kill those 3 people full stop?
It's a question we still don't know the answer to. To this day, we don't have a proper explanation as to why he did it.
At the trial, Coulston pleaded not guilty and refused to give evidence. Jan McLeod provided Coulston with an alibi, maintaining that at the time of the murders, he was visiting her in hospital.
No, he's innocent. He was with me. Nothing can change that ever.
In regards to you providing an alibi for him, the jury didn't believe you, did they?
Probably not. Why would they? I was the besotted female. You never do anything to save my young lover.
You're older than Ashley, aren't you?
Yep.
The media made quite a thing of that at the time during the trial.
Yes, they did, yes. I was besotted by my younger lover. What a load of it. I'm sorry for the description, but...
There's 20 years difference between the two.
Oh, 18, I think. I don't know.
The jury didn't buy Coulston's story that he was visiting Jan, and he was found guilty of the triple murder. So a jury said that he was responsible for killing those 3 young people in Burwood.
Yeah. Mm?
He doesn't accept that.
No. I don't either. Here's the mess.
All right, what have we got in here?
Everything.
While Coulston serves 3 life sentences with no parole, Jan, on the outside, remains his staunch supporter.
I thought the balaclavas were in there, but they're not.
And keeper of his belongings. So how many balaclavas did he have?
Oh, a fair few.
Even the jumper he wore to court.
Yes, that's one of the things he had on when he was first arrested.
You could be forgiven for giving up on Ashley, given that he's locked away for life.
I'd be bored if I didn't have it. You know, digging through the mess under the house, trying to find things. I don't know what else I'd do with my time.
Your devotion to Ashley, though, has come at quite a financial toll.
Oh, yes, it certainly has.
It's all gone?
All gone, yeah, every bit. I live from pension to pension.
The closest Coulston ever came to revealing anything was a brief, unguarded, but cryptic moment with Detective Mick Stevanovic.
Coulston said, "You've never met a person like me before." And he's right. I don't think I ever have.
And how did you take that at the time, though, when he says to you, "You've never met a person like me before"?
I took it as a challenge. I think I felt that he was throwing it out as a challenge.
And he was right. You hadn't met anyone like that before?
No, or since.
Time is now 18 minutes past 9 on Thursday, the 28th of September 2000.
It's 2000, and Ashley Coulston has now been behind bars at Victoria's Barwon prison for 8 years.
Will you follow this order? Yeah.
Police successfully win a court order to force Coulston to give a DNA sample.
But anything you do say, maybe give me evidence. You understand that? Yes, I do.
Collecting his DNA is a crucial step in matching Coulston to the unsolved Balaclava and Sutherland crimes.
Fingerprint.
But somehow, that DNA was never uploaded to the national database, which can be accessed by police in other states. So has anyone matched the DNA taken from him, from Coulston, to the DNA sitting in evidence in New South Wales?
I say no. Could be as simple as that. No one's gone through that exercise.
And in this day and age, how easy would that be to do?
24 hours.
Simple as that?
Simple as that. Coulston is red-hot suspect for the Balaclava rapes in Queensland, for the Parkinson murder, for the Sutherland rapes, and then when he got caught in Victoria in 1992, you can then analyse his timelines, his behavioural instincts, everything about him, and DNA is the final piece of the jigsaw. If you just do that, you can confirm once and for all he's probably one of the most dangerous serial killers Australia has ever had.
Besides the missing DNA, Mick Stevanovic also wants to know what happened to the 2 bullets he retrieved from Coulston's family farm. Bullets that could help solve the murder of Jeff Parkinson in 1980. The bullets you found in his bedroom were a match for the bullets found in Parkinson?
Maybe. They may be, but at the time they were first examined, the firearms examiner was unsure. He stopped short of saying they match and said that it may require further examination under a scanning electron microscope.
Did that ever happen?
To my knowledge, no.
During our investigation, we uncovered correspondence dating back to 2001 to then New South Wales Police Commissioner Peter Ryan and the State Coroner. The letters, written by senior police officers, urged the reopening of investigations into Ashley Coulston's involvement in the Sutherland rapes and the murder of Jeff Parkinson. But those letters were ignored. No action was taken. Has there been any justice for your father?
Never. No justice whatsoever.
But today, there is a beautiful surprise for Sarah. She's reuniting with her dad's best mate, Jeff Morrissey. He's brought with him some keepsakes of his murdered friend that he never had the chance to give Sarah until now.
Oh, the pipe. Oh my gosh. Oh, let me smell it. Still smells like
down there. Thank you.
Thank you.
An extraordinarily brave man died that night doing the right thing. I think for his memory, his family, his friends, it's time we did the right thing.
Mick Stevanovic, for one, will not rest until all the victims involved in New South Wales and Queensland receive justice. And he argues, just because Coulston is locked up does not mean it's case closed. If you could ask Coulston one question, what would it be?
How many? And I wouldn't accept 0 as an answer.